during lineups, and then otherwise.
I'd say normally I say, okay, everybody close your laptops. So
yeah.
So I'm Jim Handley. I'm the token geographer here at Stout. And I'm also part of a committee that's putting together a minor on peace studies, on applied peace studies. So as part of that, I've been doing a lot of thinking about critical peace education and how peace education fits in with participatory democracy is what I'm going to talk about. So our democracy is threatened, right? I mean, it's threatened by our polluted planet. It's threatened by our limited resources and the fact that we don't understand the limits to those resources. It's threatened by political and social injustice, right? And so in the face of all these problems, even if our society would cooperate and work together, right, it would be daunting to try to save this thing, right? We're not, right? We're not cooperating to try and save this thing. We are fighting against one another. The way I look at it would be like if we were astronauts, right, and we were going to Mars, and we were on a spaceship, and there was a bunch of us, like maybe everyone in this room, and we were experiencing like really bad technical difficulties, and our air supply was in danger, and our energy supply was dwindling, and we just got ourselves into like an asteroid field or a meteor shower or something, right? Things are looking really bad. And if we cooperate, we probably still die, but what do? We start beating the hell out of one another, right? That's really, if you think about it, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So of course we it's unlikely we're going to see any type of utopian visions come true, or you can call it heaven on earth, but I don't think it's unreasonable to hope or even, dare I say, demand that we start behaving differently. That we start behaving differently and responsibly in a way that we can envision a different future. One that's not defined by self-defeating violence. So we look to the university, right? I mean, that's a great place to start. But the university has largely shaped itself to an industrial idea. More and more, and I'm not just talking about Stout, more and more universities, look, they're know-how institutions, right? We're learning great job skills, and that's really, really important. But it's not everything. What we need are know-why institutions, right? That look at the dominant culture and challenge the dominant culture and are critical of the dominant culture. And that's a hard thing. It's a hard thing anywhere. Students don't come to Stout. Students don't come to most universities to challenge their worldview. They come to maintain or elevate their class status, to get that degree and get out and get a good job. That's what we're told since we were kids. That's what you have to go to college in order to get a good job. That's what kids are told these days anyway. Students come to Stout they see the current status quo and they want to make the best of that current status quo. They don't come to Stout to look at alternatives to the status quo. That's where critical peace education comes in. And that critical peace education, critical pedagogies in general, challenge that status quo. They challenge the dominant culture. Critical peace education approaches the classroom as activism. Activism that works toward making society more just, more peaceful, and more democratic. By re-envisioning that future. We have to think about that future alternative to militarism and violence that currently we reproduce and reproduce and reproduce. And it's hard to challenge that. It's hard to challenge that in the class. It's hard to challenge that in a class of 15 people, let alone a class of 60, right? It's a difficult thing. But if we don't look at the alternative future, we're stuck. We're stuck reacting to symptoms of violence, rather than using our classrooms to be something more, to be transformative, to be liberating, and we can do that. We can do that. We can do that here at Stout. We can do that. Institutions like Stout, critical peace educators look at public education as something more than job preparation, right? And again, job preparation is really important, but we need to do more than provide job skills. Institutions like Stout should educate students to contest the workplace, right? The inequalities found in the workplace. Imagine democratically organized forms of work in society and identify the challenges that challenge our democracy, that challenge our peace and our justice in our society. As long as education doesn't do these things, it's really of little significance, right? I mean, how significant is technical and industrial capacity if we use it to kill each other? That doesn't even make sense. Martin Luther King Jr. stated, when machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. We'll never know peace. We'll never know peace if those things exist. And rather than revolting against all this stuff, we sit complacent. Most people don't challenge these things. Most people don't. Because we're told that it's normal, right? It's ingrained in our human experience. We're told that it's normal. Look, racism doesn't exist anymore. We're told this. Hey, social mobility is guaranteed just by hard work. Unemployed people, those people are lazy, right? And the dominant culture uses the mass media to convince people that these things are true. As we critically analyze the role of the university, we talk about truth and the pursuit of truth, I think it's irresponsible. These lies that we're told, I think it's irresponsible to let universities off the hook. And that, to a certain extent, I think they've helped spread the lies. Democracy creates public spaces where people can find creative ways to become self-determinant. But the very idea of public is being threatened right now. And for educators to somehow feign neutrality in this, I think is shirking our responsibility. Democracy is dependent on understanding the truth. Again, but the hegemonic powers that be make it so that we're told that this is natural and the universal truth. The quest for knowledge, we have to understand, most of the time it follows rather than precedes political engagement. Right? Give some people some power, and they'll see the value of knowledge. Right? Just foist knowledge upon people without any power, it leads to indifference. We're spinning our wheels. Critical peace education seeks to empower students. Critical peace education centers on practice, right? Reflection, actions that lead to consciousness raising, empowerment, and activism, all requirements of participatory democracy. Educators can play a profound role in this. We can screw it up too. We can screw it up, and it's easy to screw it up. It's difficult. There's resistance from students. There's resistance from other faculty. There's resistance from administrators. But there's also reasons to be optimistic. I've seen a rise, even here at Stout. I've seen a rise at people that are thinking about this stuff. People like me who are conscious of this stuff every time we enter the classroom, no matter what we're talking about. So there's reasons for optimism that we can use places like Stout and places like our classrooms to develop democracy. Are we taking questions, or is there?
We'll do questions at the end of everything.
Okay.